William Ruto is not fit for this country. William Ruto is taking this country to the grave. Economically, socially, and politically.
Even with Raila by his side, he's still taking it to the
grave. They all belong to the Kariobangi dump site. Yes.
Garbage in, garbage out?
Garbage in, garbage out. Tell us whether Gachagua is the one who is still making sure not to work. Let him tell us whether Gachagua is the one who assisted you to steal 1.3 trillion in 7 months. Not trappings of power. Mr. William Ruto needs some mental assessment. Mr. William Ruto suffers from a disorder
which
of
is
too much ambition. Mr. William Ruto is a thief.
Why are you always quick to associate President Ruto with theft of grabbing of public land?
Because he has a very high affinity and appetite for free things.
Things that don't belong to him?
Things that do not belong to him.
Sticky fingers?
Sticky fingers. That's what you can see even in his tours here in Nairobi, his colleagues are joining him. The only difference between the thieves who are stealing from our pockets and mugging us is that one of the thieves is in a fuel guzzler, stealing our taxes, and the other thieves are on foot, stealing our mobile phones. And to the extent that my friend Dede Nyoro has remained mute, we say that he's mute of malice. He's a con man. It was just a lip service to hoodwink us.
Always a pleasure, always a privilege to have you on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your go-to point on matters political and governance analysis here in Kenya and across the region. I'm Richard Mwenja. Such a pleasure to have you on board. And today, due to public demand, I had to bring him back on the show. He's one of the favorite think tanks and political and governance analysts in this country. Geshugu's biggest export, certainly after Martha Karua. I'm talking about renowned lawyer, the black bull himself, Ndegwa Njiru.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Ndegwa?
I'm all right, Richard. How have you been?
I've been quite well.
A long time, man.
Long time.
You've been well?
3 months since we last had you on the show.
Hey, 3 months is pretty long.
I've only been seeing you on the rallies out there, not really campaign rallies.
Yeah.
But you seemingly are out here pushing harder by the day, calling it as it is, bare knuckles on the president.
Yeah, first of all, God has been gracious. We have enjoyed the best of our health, myself and the family.
Good.
And even my friends. We have not had issues. And God has given us the strength, and He has reserved and preserved our life to be where we are today, so that we can impact the necessary changes that are needed in this country. And I believe that is why God has given us good health and the ability to be what we are today. Of course, the people from Kirinyaga are quite expecting, and there are things they have said. Maybe they are not worth discussing in this show, but for them, they have made up their mind that
on what exactly?
Yeah, they are saying that they want a senator from a senator, and they seem all to have settled on me.
It started with Geshugu, member of parliament. Now they're endorsing you for the senatorial bid.
By the way, they have always thought that I should go to the Senate, of the Kirinyaga people. And if God grants us an opportunity to serve in those capacities, we will not let them down. And, generally, the entire country is thirsty for good leadership. The entire country is looking for credible leadership because the country is sick, the country is ailing, the country is in ICU. If we do not take the appropriate steps, this country will find itself in a morgue. We will not wait for the works of the morticians. We have to rescue this country from where it is today.
It could go to the morgue in our lifetime.
Oh, very easily. You can see there is clear and blatant breakdown of the rule of law. In this country, the constitution was suspended by Ruto wa Machapo, has suspended this constitution. Ruto wa Machapo has suspended all the institutions in this country. You can see he began by mutilating the strength of parliament to the extent that today parliament is not offering any oversight.
Now that you're talking about Ruto wa Machapo, let's begin first with promises like those ones.
Yeah.
And then now we go bit by bit to now emasculation of independent institutions in this country.
Yes.
Talking of the promises and the pledge spree that the president is on, of course, the most latest promise being that of a chapati minting machine dishing out 1 million chapatis per day. Not just that, a while back, let's take a look at some of the past promises.
Yeah.
Diapers for newborn babies under the now defunct NHIF for 3 months for free to women in Kenya. We're talking about Taptengele. You just at the click of the button, you get dollars, all thanks to digital work.
Don't forget to mention that tutakuwa unapiga simu bila airtime.
And gas was to come down to 600 shillings for 6 kg cylinder. That and many other promises that he has made, but this far they have by and large remained hot air. Empty promises. Do you find that some of the promises from President Ruto are running out to be absurd and literally cheap of him?
I would not even perhaps define it as absurd. I think Mr. William Ruto wa Machapo needs to have some medical checkup on his mind.
Why would you recommend mental assessment for a president?
You know, our constitution under Article 145 has contemplated a scenario whereby a president can run mad while in office. It has contemplated that scenario.
Is he on that path?
So when our constitution has contemplated a scenario that it can come to a time when the president himself can go insane, and it has created the mechanism of addressing that challenge, it was obvious, the constitution was alive to the fact that a president must be a human being and can suffer some mental infirmity. Mr. William Ruto is suffering from mental infirmity. I can confirm that without any scintilla iota of doubts.
Because you believe he's living in the mass of his own confusion or what?
No, he's not confused. William is sick.
Sick?
Ruto is sick.
Trappings of power?
Not trappings of power. Mr. William Ruto needs some mental assessment.
But he might recommend the same for his critics like you, whom he believes is just a spirit of opposing match.
If we all go there...
He has profiled people like you as political conmen.
Yes, that he has done, but he needs to tell us whom we have conned. Yeah?
Opposing without giving out alternatives.
Have we given unrealistic proposals to Kenyans that you can start minting and printing chapos? Juu jamaa anasema atakuwa na print machapo. Yaani unatengeneza chapo moja tu hivyo nafanya maphotocopy.
Every man has an ambition, Kega.
You know, these guys, and it's a very serious thing for us. We are being led by a president who is mentally sick. And I can face the camera and say this. That Kenyans, you do not just take these things lightly. Your president needs mental assistance.
Are you implying that on the 8th of August 2022, Kenyans went to the voting poll to vote in a sick president? They were fully aware of such.
You know, even the promises he was making us at then, they required us to evaluate them and call for self-introspection. Because you can see now, he has moved from the free internet, free callings, diapers, pesa mfukoni, serikali ya mahasla, now to photocopying chapos. Literally, mtu mzima anaenda kudanganya watoto ati atakuwa na photocopy machapo mpaka zifike milioni 1.
But there are more solid promises. Look at road network promises. Mandera, Ramu, Isiolo, Modogashe.
Let me ask you, before he even goes to open those Modogashe, Mandera, Wajia, Ramu,
Kobo,
and Kobo roads, has he finished the ones that His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta started? The Mau Mau road network is in disarray. Yeah, not even building new ones, is even maintaining the ones that we have.
So all this is a litany of lies.
Wacha stories za kujenga zingine mpya. Hata zile ambazo zimejengwa. Zilijengwa na Kenyatta 1, zikajengwa na Moi, zikajengwa na Kibaki na Uhuru. Even those ones are not being maintained.
They were you implying that the president is trying to steal the thunder of former presidents, what Kibaki did, what Uhuru did, no, and making it his own?
Mr. William Ruto suffers from a disorder
which
of
is
too much ambition. And I remember the book I was reading called The Burdens by John Ruganda. And there was this scenario of, it's a play. And there was this guy called Wamala. And Wamala was once a government minister who had serious ambitions. And he had a family, so he went down, he planned to overthrow the government. And he was put in prison. And his life went south, and the family ended up in a slum somewhere. The background of that story is in Uganda. And so one day he thought that he would come up with an idea of bringing some Yankees to come and overthrow the government, and so he started planning. So he went to one guy who was called Vincent Kanagonago. He was a rich man, and so he went to sell the idea of how they can invite the Yankees and also get into a business of manufacturing matchboxes with two heads. So he was told, you see the unrealistics, that you wanted to manufacture the
dual utility.
Yes, you know, that once you light the matchstick, you will still remain with one head that you can use in the future. Of course, he was thinking about the life in the slums and how we can elevate the people in the slums and how they can still use that one for tomorrow and save the coins in their pockets. That was the whole theme. But Vincent Kanagonago tells Wamala, too much ambitions kills a man. And that's where Mr. William Ruto Wamachapo is.
Too much ambition.
Too much ambitions kills a man.
You talking about him harboring so much ambition and he might succumb to it, but you question his level of generosity, especially his generosity towards the church in Kenya in terms of expanding the infrastructural network of our church and also just dishing out to the church for the uplifting of faith in Kenya. Are you going to question the millions he's minting out to churches?
Yes, we have. And Mr. William Ruto is a con man. He's a con man. He's conning us. The same way he conned us in 2002. But
that is coming from his individual coffer.
Which individual coffer? This guy earns 1.4 million a month. That is his only declared source of income. He has not declared any other source of income. He has not even declared his companies. So you must ask yourself, and you saw my letter that I did to the pastor.
I did.
And that pastor must understand that we are coming for him. It was not just a letter. We are taking him to court. We have written to the AACC. We have told them to recall for that money. We have given them 14 days. We're waiting for those 14 days to expire. And we take this pastor to court. He has to go and deposit that money in the court's account, pending the interrogation of its source. Because Mr. William Ruto is stealing our taxes and bribing pastors with it. Mr. William Ruto is a thief.
Why are you always quick to associate President Ruto with theft of grabbing of public land?
Because he has a very high affinity and appetite for free things.
Things that don't belong to him?
Things that do not belong to him.
Sticky fingers?
Sticky fingers. That's what you can see even in his tours here in Nairobi. His colleagues are joining him. The only difference between the thieves who are stealing from our pockets and mugging us is that one of the thieves is in a fuel guzzler, stealing our taxes, and the other thieves are on foot, stealing our mobile phones.
Are you trying to say, Ndegwa Njiru, that even during this popularization tour of their UDA-ODM merger in Nairobi, the chaos that we've witnessed from those tours,
yes,
the president is fully aware of the crowd that is there and what they're capable of?
They are synonymous with the character and the nature of Ruto Wamachapo.
Which is a petty thief.
Those chaos, those petty stealings, they are synonymous with William.
This is a gentleman who is on a path trying to restore the dignity of our democracy and politics, all thanks to what he believes is a handshake that will midwife Kenya.
What did you say is doing what?
Look, that is the justification behind the 10-point agenda MOU between ODM and UDA to herald new beginnings for Kenya in the world of politics and governance. I want to understand, Degwanjiru, you are a lawyer. Do you believe the 10-point agenda under the MOU is just but paraphrasing the 2010 constitution?
They're actually nonsensical. They are useless. They are baseless. They are meaningless. They are time-wasting. They are twisting. And I don't know any other adjective.
There are heavy concerns there to address corruption, to address objections,
now,
free speech
in
this country.
How will an MOU address corruption when we have institutions created by the Constitution that are supposed to deal with that issue? How will Babu Raila Odinga, how will Babu Raila Odinga joining hands with Ruto Machapu help us fight corruption? How?
Why are you shy from referring Raila Odinga as His Excellency, Honorable, as you've done before?
They have lost their honor. They have lost their dignity.
Is that why you prayed doom for Raila when it comes to the AUC bid?
Oh yes, and I was very happy, I jubilated that he has lost it.
Aren't you afraid you'll be termed unpatriotic?
Well, any person who wants to label me unpatriotic is within his right. I am being patriotic when I say that this country, if saying that this country requires better leadership than what we currently have is being unpatriotic, I am ready to be labeled unpatriotic. So if saying that William Ruto is not fit for this country, I am ready to be labeled a tribalist. If saying that Babu Raila Odinga has wasted and compromised the revolution which the Gen Zs began, and then I'm being labeled unpatriotic, I am ready to bear that label.
You've called him a traitor before.
Yes, and a betrayer and a traitor. Even William Ruto has accepted all his descriptions, Kasongo, Zakayo, Ruto Machapu. The only one he has not accepted, and I challenge him to accept, is Ruto Kaongo. Accept that Kaongo also ndio tuweze kuendelea mbele.
So even with this spark between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, you don't believe it's going to be the silver bullet to address our concerns as Kenyans?
It's conmanship.
To this date?
It's conmanship. What we need in this country, Richard, are not those useless MOUs. We need to implement the 2010 Constitution to the letter.
Just that.
Because the 2010 Constitution diagnosed and prescribed the remedies that this country needs so that this country can march forward. The 2010 Constitution has provided for principles of good governance, for principles of governance. Among them is a principle of good governance. It has created a chapter on integrity. It has created a chapter on how to manage public finance. So all what we need to do, and that is what we are going to do once we take over this government, once we take over government come 2027,
and you are coming to that,
is to implement the Constitution to the letter.
Just
but suffice to note, Richard, it is not enough to have a good Constitution. It's not enough to have good laws.
What's the missing link then?
The missing link is that the good Constitution that we have, the good laws that we have, needs to be complemented by a leader who has good character.
Not questionable.
Unquestionable character. And let me give you the example. Kenyatta won between 1963 to 1978. Governed us with the Lancaster Constitution. In that Lancaster Constitution, atrocities were committed as against the people and the Republic of Kenya. Moi came 1978 to 2002. Land was grabbed, the economy collapsed, Goldenberg scandals, people were killed, people were detained without trial. All manner of evil happened in this country. The same constitution. Kibaki came 2002 to 2013. Kibaki governed us with the same Lancaster Constitution that Kenyatta and Moi had used. When Kibaki came, the economy thrived. The road network was expanded. Our children were able to access free primary education. Right? Institutions were assisted to grow. The democratic complementary institutions were assisted to grow with the same Constitution. 1963 Constitution. You might want to ask yourself, why is it that Kibaki governed us differently with the same constitution from what Moi did and what Kenyatta did? It's because of the character of the individual, the integrity of the individual. Listen, Ruto, huyu Ruto wa Machapo, is governing us with one of the best and progressive constitution in the world. But look, people are being killed left, right and center. Hata gari zake zinagonga mtu zikiwa kwenye msafara, and is unapologetic. Our children are being kidnapped left, right and center. Our children and people are being extrajudicially killed. They are stealing 1.3 trillion in 7 months. Accountability is no longer with us.
It has been
Transparency has been thrown out of the window.
It has been argued that the Auditor General's office just politicizing audit reports.
One minute just before, I wanted to say this. Ruto is governing us with the best constitution, but he's worse than Moi.
Worse than Moi?
He's worse than Kenyatta. Yet he has a good constitution. What am I addressing? I am addressing the question of who is your leader.
Are you implying that he could be a dictator in the making?
He's not in the making, he's already one. It's only that he's meeting serious opposition, especially from the generation that Kibaki took to school, the Gen Zs. Under his leadership, people are not able to access school, higher education. People are dying left, right, and center. SHA has become a death trap. People are dying as they await clearance and approvals. It has basically become a death trap.
The experts never helped that were loaned from ODM?
Zero. So what I'm saying is, it is not enough to have good laws. It's also good laws, good constitution must be coupled with a person, a good person. Mtu mzuri.
We're going to come and look at that. You want to understand who is this good person from your lenses, Ndegwa Njiru. So then again, there are those who believe that Raila Odinga is trying to deodorize President William Ruto through this pact, this merger.
Yes.
And I want to understand, are you afraid that probably Raila Odinga runs the risk of carrying the baggage of incumbency? He's going to inherit the failures, past and future mistakes of President Ruto?
I don't know who advises Babu. And you can see deliberately, I'm not calling him Baba. I'm using the word Babu. Grandfather. Guka. You can call him whichever language.
You are one-time coalition leader.
Our one-time coalition leader. And we never supported Kenyatta. Sorry, we never supported Raila because he was the best. We supported him because he was the lesser evil.
Oh, both were blemished lambs?
Yes, we supported him because between him and Kaongo, Babu was a lesser evil. That's the only thing that made us support him. Otherwise, the two of them are hyenas. But hyenas.
How then do you explain this? Because some will argue that Raila Odinga has proved to be the political axis upon which Kenya's politics always stills around.
No, he's not.
This time round, after his failure at the AUC and now he's packed with Ruto, do you believe it's going to give him another chance to reincarnate himself into a bigger political animal?
Jamaa amekataliwa mpaka Afrika mzima. Amesukuma mpaka Afrika imemkataa. Let him go and take care of his grandchildren. We have better people who can be trusted, people who mean business for this country, and people who cannot easily be bought. Unajua kuna kitabu tulikuwa tunasoma pia tukiwa shule, ilikuwa inaitwa Tumbo Lisilo Shiba.
Sure.
That is William Ruto and Raila Odinga for you.
Always auctioning his political brothers and sisters and the masses
and
for the
what
selfish
matters
interest?
to them is what matters to them most is what goes down their throat to their stomach.
But you were consulted before you went for the pact with President Ruto. He made consultation to us.
You know, this guy is a con man, and I agree with Dr. Miguna 100% that Babu Raila Odinga is a con man. If indeed he was doing consultation, what would have been most prudent thing to do is to come and tell us, nilipoenda Mombasa, watu wa Mombasa walisema nini? Nilipoenda Kisumu, watu wa Kisumu walisema nini? Nilipoenda Kisii, watu wa Kisii walisema nini? Nilipokuja Nairobi, what did the people say? Right?
Sure.
So that then we know that this was a consultative process with the feedback. Right? So we do not know, what did the people of Kisii tell him, go and sign the memorandum? The people of Mombasa say, go and sign the memorandum. The people of Nairobi say, go and sign the memorandum. He's a con man. It was just a lip service to hoodwink us.
And in the same measure...
That is a Democrat. By the way, Raila is not a Democrat.
Of any shade?
He does not know democracy. Even when you hear him saying that he was once detained by Moi.
Yeah, second liberation.
He was not detained for the second liberation. He was detained because he attempted to overthrow Moi's government.
Nothing about democracy.
Go look at the annals of history. Those people who were detained for fighting for liberation were detained between 1990 to 1995. Sorry, 1997, thereabouts. You will not find Raila's name there.
Politics of conmanship and deceit?
That is what he knows best.
In the same
so
measure,
I want to clear the air today that Raila Odinga was never detained for fighting for democracy. He was fighting because he wanted to overthrow, he was detained because he wanted to overthrow the government of Moi. So there is nowhere in history where Raila is indicated as fighting for democracy. Even when people were going to Kamukunji, in the famous Kamukunji Sabasaba Day, he wasn't there. The only person we can see is His Excellency Jimmy Agri Orengo, Senior Counsel. We can see him. We can see Kitobo Manyara. We can see people like Kiraito Murungi, our senior. We can see people like Rumba Kenodia. We can see people like George Anyona. We can see Martin Sikuku. You know, we can see Odinga himself.
The country owes it to such people.
Yes,
and not
but this guy has never been there. He came and hijacked.
You have rendered President Ruto as a conman par excellence, Raila Odinga to be the chief architect of political conmanship.
Yes.
And in the same line, you've also rendered Ndindi Nyoro to be part of this long con, in the sense that you believe even the purge, the political prosecution of Ndindi Nyoro, is just a long con so that he runs in 2027
yes.
and further divide the Mount Kenya vote, which now the president is losing grip of that particular decisive block
yes.
in our political circles. Do you believe that could be the architecture behind the scenes?
Yes, it could be the architecture. And to the extent that my friend Ndindi Nyoro has remained mute, we say that he's mute of malice. He's mute of malice.
Not a political gentleman like Kibaki?
Otherwise, if he was not mute of malice, he would have come to tell us whether he agrees, whether it was democratic for his, whether his removal was democratic. And the biggest question here is, Ndindi Nyoro is in government. The chair of budget always goes to government. The current chair is allegedly an opposition person, right? So Ndindi Nyoro would have questioned the circumstances under which his seat is going to a person who is not in government. Because those seats are exclusive. There are some seats, according to the standing orders of parliament, that are exclusively reserved for government. That is a majority, and exclusively reserved for minority. So, to the extent that he has remained mute, to the extent that he has not challenged that action, is a man to watch.
Is he likely to succeed in dividing the Mount Kenya vote?
We'll treat him with a long stick. No, he cannot. Mount Kenya is solidly behind the clamor for change.
So the interest that President Ruto is trying to make in Mount Kenya is dead on arrival?
Now, when he comes, and I want him to come, and I want to face the camera, we will not give him peace. We will shout at him, we will scream, We will sing, and we shall not allow him to address us.
And yours won't be paid hecklers, hired crowds?
No, we shall not pay. People are generally agitated.
Natural rage?
And the reason what is agitating people is, wewe unakuja kutuambia maneno utafanya. Si ufanye. Ukuje utuambie umefanya. Wacha kutuambia nitafanya. The same way he was behaving when he was a deputy president without government is the same way he's behaving like he does not have government. He's behaving like a man who is not going to look for government.
But he told people of Mount Kenya, I've been doing much. It's only that your boy was a lone voice in my government, former DP Rigathi Gachagua.
Now,
never audible enough on what I was doing as
now he has a professor in office. He has a professor in office. Let him tell us why people are still dying of the inability to access medical facilities. Tell us whether Gachagua is the one who is still making sure not to work. Let him tell us whether Gachagua is the one who assisted you to steal 1.3 trillion in 7 months. You know, this guy can't work. Ni kama ule mnyama alijaribu kuchuma matunda. Akaruka. Kale kaskwiru. Mwishowe kakasema, ziwache mbivu hizi. He has to have a reason. Because I cannot reach hizi ni mbivu. Let him tell us.
Excuses for failure.
Yes, let him tell us. Is it His Excellency Gachagua who has made who has made the Mau Mau Road not to be constructed? Is it His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua who has now made it the Macadamia, which was going for 150 shillings when Uhuru was in power, 200 shillings when Uhuru was in power, to make it go for 20 shillings now? I mean, this guy is a con man.
Let me have your view on the accusations leveled at the side of MP for Kiharu Ndindi Nyoro regarding him misusing his powers in parliament to divert resources during his tenure as the budget and appropriations committee chairperson. It is argued that Ndindi Nyoro diverted these funds so that he can have a head start.
That's a lie.
In Kiharu.
That's a lie. And it's a blatant lie. Because, and I have to come to
So Ishungu and Junet lied on this matter?
Of course.
Why would they lie?
Because they were executing their master's script, and they say, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you whom you are." That's what they say. But the most important thing here is, Ndindi Nyoro never allocates budget. He never passes budget. Budget is passed by parliament. There's no possibility that he can have something aside for his constituency. Yet the budget is supposed to be scrutinized by parliament even before it is passed. Number two, Ndindi Nyoro does not allocate the CDF. It's allocated by the national NCGDF organ. Number three, there are some constituencies which received even much more money than what Ndindi Nyoro was receiving. Huyu ni kijana ameweza kupanga constituency yake. They are envious that Ndindi Nyoro is able to use the ritual that is given to him to change the life of the people. Otherwise, it's a white lie and a big lie, fat lie.
But Kimani Ichung'wah has held such solid positions in parliament before, and there was no accusation of funds going to Kikuyu constituency. Do you believe he's trying to somewhat silence the political magnitude that Ndindi Nyoro is on right now?
Yes, and you must look at who is paying the piper. Yes, you must look at who is paying the piper. But I want to say this. I've never wanted to take your precious time to discuss that boy from Kikuyu. Let's not take our precious time to discuss him. He's not worth our discussion.
He's here to meet his light?
He was not even able to defend his government when he was put to task by Al Jazeera. He's not worth our time.
Let's talk about the man who's going to save this country. And you're talking about the need for us to have a very precise surgeon who will dissect and come out
political surgeon
with the right diagnosis for our politics and governance.
Yes.
And now, many are waiting for Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka's political direction, especially the Gen Z bloc. And Gachagua has been dragging his feet with regards to coming out clearly on what his party is going to look like, what's going to be. Why do you think it's taking quite much time?
Because we are dealing with a brutal man. He can brutalize anyone. And I therefore is well advised that he needs to check his steps correctly. And therefore he's calculating his steps. And he's not dragging his feet. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua is marching forward. And at the appropriate time, he's going to announce his party. And not just his party, the Mount Kenya party.
The Mount Kenya party?
Yes.
But do you think he runs the risk of overshooting the runway, all thanks to his exposés by the day? The president is doing business with rebel leaders from Sudan. The president is stealing this and that from the public coffers. Do you think it's too much of a dossier to come from Rigathi Gachagua?
No, it's not too much of a dossier. Because he's just confirming what we people know. That hakuna kazi inafanyika katika hii nchi ya Kenya.
Nothing to do with bitterness and anger?
He's not bitter. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua is not a bitter man. By the way, he's at peace with himself. He's at peace with himself. And I've never seen a man who is able to transit that fast to what he is today.
Is it true that all those MPs who voted for the axing of Rigathi Gachagua from the DP are likely to be sent home by Mount Kenya in 2027?
They are already home. Washaenda home kitambo.
Mount Kenya made that decision?
All the traitors, all the betrayers are home. If that was not hakuna debate.
No chance for re-election in Mount Kenya?
There's no chance that those traitors will get. And we know them and we have marked them. The sellouts.
Sellouts?
The sellouts will have to go home.
Don't they stand a chance for redemption in the sense that at the 11th minute they say in Ndegwa, we are sorry, we were misadvised by this or that party, we've now come back to our senses. Would you hear that?
They have no chance. They have no chance to redeem themselves whatsoever. Story yao imeisha. Done and dusted.
Kalonzo Musyoka now appears to be that people's loyal opposition figure.
Yes.
And many are looking towards what he portends to bring forth for this country in 2027 and beyond. But then again, do you feel Kalonzo Musyoka has harnessed the potential and the goodwill of the Gen Z who are now looking at him for political direction?
One thing we are looking at in the next political dispensation is the credibility of an individual. His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka has never ever been involved in any corruption scandal. If he had, Kasongo would be on his neck today. He has no any dot. Even the land that they speak about in Yatta. I did ask him about it, and he showed me documents where he purchased it. He showed me the stamp duty that he paid.
Genuine credentials?
Yes. He even showed me that the land was financed by a bank. He showed me. Because I wanted to be very clear when I am associating with him. So he told me, Ndegwa, these are the conveyancing documents. And I saw them with my eyes. When he was invited by the DCI I think sometimes last year, he took those documents to the DCI. So they are actually the DCI, and the DCI could not see anything. Because the purchase of that land followed all the set down conveyancing protocols, including the financing by a bank, including the legal undertakings that were given by advocates for the purchase price. So we are looking for that person. And that is why in my analysis I told you it's not enough to have a good constitution alone. It also matters that we have a person who is morally upright, a man of good character, a person who is trustworthy, a person who is honest and consistent.
And Kalonzo Musyoka comes forth that that person is the bread and butter and to also, offer such.
Yes, and so it is even for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. Remember, in the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, there was no any single allegation that he stole money from government. Not a single one.
There were falsehoods about
That's why they were fishing. They were on a fishing expedition. There was no single allegation that he ever stole. Number two, Eugene Wamalwa. He has served as a minister for 10 years and even as assistant minister. You have not had any claim that Eugene Wamalwa has stolen even a single coin from government. Martha Karua, equally, there's no any claim that Her Excellency Martha Karua has stolen. So you can see the group that we're working with is a group that you can trust.
An umbrella of people who are yardsticks of integrity and transparency.
A people you can trust that if they get to the helm of the leadership of this country, this country will change.
But why is their coalition long overdue?
No. It is time. We are not yet there. We are not yet there.
Is it coming though?
We are taking each day at a time.
You don't foresee
The
breakaways at the 11th hour?
The coalition is coming. They can rest assured it's coming. And even those people, and many people are also coming to join this force. Because we are so determined to make sure that William Ruto goes home 2027. Is the only commitment we have for now.
That's your call to action. He goes home.
He must be a one-term president.
But
and our agitation is not actuated by vendetta or malice or ill as against him. Our agitation is actuated by the fact that William Ruto has mismanaged this country. William Ruto is not fit for this country. William Ruto is taking this country to the grave. Economically, socially, and politically.
Even with Raila by his side, he's still taking it to
they all belong to the Kariobangi dump site. Yes.
Garbage in, garbage out?
Garbage in, garbage out. If you are able to put them in a toilet like this and flush them to Roy, it will be better for this country.
Don't you think you're going to be a disappointed person in 2027? Because Oscar Sudi says we're going to go to whatever level to manipulate the votes
let me tell you,
Ruto, so that he doesn't become a one-term president.
Let me tell you.
There has been no such president set in the history of Kenya.
Let me tell you. You are quoting Oscar Sudi, a man who is mentally incapacitated in terms of understanding the history of this continent.
You call him shallow?
And therefore, even asking us to discuss Oscar Sudi and his capacity to understand the geopolitics is demeaning to us. I'll bet to mention that he has a PhD that resembles that of his master's, William Ruto. But to mention, in this continent, we have seen presidents who have served one term. George Weah of Liberia, one term. Senegal president, one term. Botswana president, one term. Jonathan Goodluck of Nigeria, one term. Who is he? Even Mandela, one term. Whom does he think
But he can make a last-minute U-turn and lower prices of goods, essential goods and services. He can bring in better legislation of things.
Let me tell you, bro. Wakati wa Uhuru Kenyatta, hata alipotengeneza hizi mabarabara unaziona sasa hivi, watu waliambiwa nimetengeneza barabara wakasema hatukulangi barabara. That's what they said. So it doesn't matter whether he lowers the prices. It doesn't matter
in 2027
whether he opens his bedroom to every Kenyan to go and sleep on it. It doesn't matter whether he comes and become a shoe polisher every time.
The dice is cast?
The die is cast. Even the numbers don't work for him, by the way. The numbers don't work. Tutashinda William Ruto with over 15 million votes. Na Ruto hatafikisha milioni 10. Na tunamwambia hivi, wewe Ruto, kama unafikiria utaweza kuiba kura katika hii nchi ili uapishwe kama rais, Wakenya wanasema hivi, kwamba hakuna rais atakayeapishwa katika hii nchi ya Kenya kama ameiba uchaguzi. In English, Kenyans are saying that they shall not allow any president to be sworn in if your election was fraudulent. We are going to guard our constitution because our constitution says that a president must be elected through universal suffrage in a secure election, in a accountable election process, in a free, fair election. If those principles will not have been met, we shall defend our constitution by making sure that nobody is sworn in if you have rigged an election. By so doing, we shall be upholding Article 3 of our Constitution, which requires us to uphold and protect our Constitution. By so doing, we shall be upholding Article 2 of the Constitution, which says that the Constitution is a supreme law of the land. By so doing, we shall be upholding Article 1 of the Constitution, which states that Kenyans are the sovereign people. They are the sovereign. They shall elect their president. So if the sovereign not have elected you, we shall oppose and we shall make sure that you're not sworn in as president.
So this talk about yetu itakuwa 10 bila breaks.
Nonsense.
They are living a lie.
Hogwash. Nonsense. Hogwash. Baseless.
Itakuwa 5 na break.
5 na kwenda nyumbani.
Si kwenda na kurudi baadaye kama Trump.
Hata ameambiwa asijenge barabara ya kutoka Ramu, ya kwenda Marsabit, barabara ya kwenda sijui Modagashe, ya kwenda Wajia. Ameambiwa jenga hii barabara. Na Medho wamemwambia jenga barabara ya kutoka State House.
Kwenda wapi? Ifike
Kinoo. Ikifika Kinoo iteremka ifike Naivasha. Ikifika Naivasha ifike Kikopee. Ikifika Kikopee ifike Nakuru. Ikifika Nakuru ipande Salga. Ikipanda Salga iende Chachangwani.
Timboroa.
Ifika Chachangwani ifike Timboroa. Ikifika Timboroa ifike Eldoret. Ikifika Eldoret iingie Sugoi. Hiyo ndio barabara ambayo tunataka ijenge so that you can have a smooth flow. Kama hakuna traffic uingie Sugoi.
The political obituary has been written, it's published, one-term president.
It's there, it's in public.
And for Raila Odinga?
Yes, and we do not expect him to come to Kasarani after the 8th of August 2027. Yes, we shall humiliate him, we shall humiliate William Ruto, we shall embarrass you with our votes.
Talk to me about now the position of former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
It has been speculated that he's going to support the candidature of Fred Matiang'i
for
the presidency in 2027.
That is not true.
You would imagine that perhaps he would go the Rigathi Gachagua, the Kalonzo Musyoka way. What's the true position of Uhuru Kenyatta?
The true position is that whoever had that idea, the man from Ndaragwa, was just having some political fantasies. He was having some political fantasies. He has fantasized with the process. And the fact is, Senator Onyonka has given a clear position as to where Fred Matiang'i is. Number two, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta is a gentleman. He knows what is happening in this country. He understands what is happening, and is part of those individuals who would wish to have the country to have good governance. So Uhuru Kenyatta is not associated with those Kioni shenanigans. And you can see, after we've exposed Kioni, he has gone silent.
Sure.
On
Why?
it. Yeah, because he has been told by Matiang'i directly, don't speak about me. I can speak about myself. Yes.
All right. Almost finally, Ndegwa Njiru.
Yes.
You talking about the people of Kirinyaga highly endorsing you for the senatorial bid. And indeed, they really want you to ascend to certain heights politically and even in leadership. So my question is, when I mention Gladys Bosholei, George Kaluma, Ishungu and Junet Mohammed on one side, and then to my other side, I mentioned people like Njeri Maina Gathoni wa Mushomba, Richard Onyonka that you've just mentioned. What comes to your mind?
What comes to my mind is that you cannot compare the individuals in Kenya Kwanza with the people fighting for liberation of this country. The freedom fighters, the Onyonka, the Ndegwa Njiros, the Gathoni wa Mushomba.
So that's the side you'll belong even when you're granted the senatorial seat?
Whether it's, I am not doing this because I need to become the senator. I am doing this for the sake of my country.
For the greater good.
It's for the sake of this country that I am persuaded that I need to be where I am. And by the way, I am doing this because there are many of us who are not able to speak. There are many of us who are dying out of inability to access medical care. For the interest of that person who cannot speak about his inability to access funds for health care, I speak. In the interest of that child who is not able to access quality education, it's me speaking. In the interest of that person whose child has been abducted and killed, it's me who is speaking. In the interest of that Kenyan who is not able to access an ID card and whose ID card has an expiry date, it's me speaking.
The voice of the voiceless.
We are the voice of the voices.
Speaking truth to power.
And speaking truth to power. And as I finish.
And you're ready to pay the ultimate price? Because some have been put away because of their bold voice.
Well, who will never die anyway? Who will never die?
You're ready for that? If it's for the greater good of the country?
I would not wish myself that I not make such kind of a wish for myself. I would wish to live. I would not say, let me die. No, I can't say that. But I want to say this. And this I'm speaking to my younger brothers and sisters in the in the generation of the Gen Zs. We need to be very careful in the manner in which we craft our message. Previously, the Gen Zs and the millennial message was, we are troubleless, we are leaderless. Kasongo has now understood. He's now labeling any person as a tribalist, meaning he wants to associate himself with the messaging that is coming from the Gen Zs and the millennials, so that then if anybody else who is not with Kasongo can be labeled as a tribalist, and so that Kasongo then can only remain as the only true patriot. So our messaging must not resemble that of Kasongo, because our enemy is Kasongo. We must fight Kasongo.
The giant to be slain.
With all the instruments and ammunitions and the armories that we have. If our power to fight Kasongo is by congregating from our tribes with an idea of fighting Kasongo, then that must be our weapon. Right. If our weapon is on the account of our age to fight Kasongo, we must use it.
So be it.
If our weapon, we must consolidate all the weapons. If our weapon to fight Kasongo is identifying a leader amongst ourselves and associating ourselves with that leader who makes the qualities of the person I described, or people I described, then we must associate ourselves with that person. Because our enemy is one, and now the enemy is speaking our language.
Well, there you have it from Ndegwa Njiru himself, senior partner here at Ndegwa & Ndegwa Company Advocates, brilliant lawyer, a renowned think tank, and always a thought leader in this country, opinion shaper. You've heard it from him. It remains to be seen whether the president will tap into nuggets of wisdom from Ndegwa Njiru. He's made so many calls to actions for our leaders and politicians in this country. It remains to be seen whether they'll really heed to his advice and probably have a Damascus moment, a point where they're going to meet the light. We wait to see. Ndegwa Njiru, always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
But don't get lost. Come on.
Men, we can always try to create this. You can see now conveniently it has just worked.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you've taken too long, just ask me where I am and just pop in and set up.
But we have an Easter special coming on board in April. Our usual Easter coverage.
That one we can actually do it at my house. I can sponsor some boozy. And you're most welcome. And you can do an Easter exclusive. Yes.
It is coming between the 20th and 25th of April. Stay tuned for Easter exclusive. We did one last year with Ndegwa Njiru. You can now revisit our site and check it out on that. So this time round, you don't want to miss out. It's going to be themed Kenya at the Cross. And Ndegwa Njiru is going to come for the revelations of what's happening in this country and also what the future holds for Kenya. Until we get to do this again, enjoy the rest of your viewing. To Ndegwa & Ndegwa Company Advocates, always a pleasure being here.